I'm live. I don't know if anyone's tuning in just yet. Just turn this up a bit. I don't know if the sound... Hello everyone. If anyone is watching, I'll just wait a few moments. I've got some tea. It's actually pretty good. It's peppermint tea. So I'm pretty happy with it. It's pretty legit tea too. Doesn't taste like it's got plastic anywhere in it whatsoever. But it works. Jan Walker. It tells me when people have arrived. This is good. Hi. So I'll just wait a few more moments to see who's rocking up. Hello. Hello peoples. As I was just saying, this is peppermint tea. It's pretty good. If you don't have tea or coffee or something like that, maybe get one as well. It's nice on a cooler night like this. So anyway, we've got some people here now, so I suppose I'll get into it. I'm going to do a bit of a chat about peace and the role of peace in Druidry and what that means at the moment. What does peace mean in this world right now, you know, with all the chaos that's going on in our personal lives, in our transpersonal lives, in the life of the planet. Everything is quite chaotic, or at least it appears that, you know, everything socially, in terms of our society and our cultures, is incredibly unsure at the moment, quite scary. But on another level, maybe sometimes, I think as Druids, obviously we can always connect into that space of deep peace. And from my experience, and I think as Druidry teachers, that comes through that deep engagement with nature and with the land and the place that we live on. And I think in Australia we've had such a disconnect with, you know, I suppose the Western culture which came in, and the disrespect and disconnect with the Indigenous people here and with the land for such a long time. And it's reflected in our politics, I think, in a big way. But there seems to be incredible underlying issues, you know, at the basis of Western, the kind of mindset. And a lot of that comes along with, you know, the consumerist mentality, where everything is an object and we can take everything because nothing is sentient. Ultimately, everything is something that we can use and profit from. And having that mindset, it turns people and it turns the environment into a workhorse. And I think it's quite easy to say that I think in our society, yes, I think we're overworked. I think a lot of people don't get enough time in their lives for really, really good, decent amount of time for introspection and to sit with themselves or with others. And with the land, and to really have enough time, enough space away from the clutter of life and the noise of life, where we can remove ourselves just for a while from the anxieties and the stresses of everyday life. And I suppose the irony is that what is everyday life, you know, because that depends on who you're talking to. It's different for everyone. That's a very subjective thing. But there seems to be a lot of people that have very similar experiences about, you know, like there are certain commonalities throughout everyone's living, which is a thread that is woven through our culture. It's a cultural thing. We're brought up into it. We have expectations of it, and we carry those on. But I think one thing that spiritualities teach us is to find that space. And it doesn't matter what spirituality it is, you know, Each spirituality has that within it, this finding time out of time to spend time with the divine, or with the immanent, or with nature, or spirit. And it's these times which I think are incredibly crucial in this day of age and the crisis that we're facing at the moment. On the one hand, we have to be really engaging and really, protesting and getting ourselves out there and letting the pollies and all of these people know that what they're doing is not okay, and that we're frustrated, and that yes, we're angry, and all of these intense raging feelings that are going on inside. But on the other hand, that whole saying of we can burn ourselves out, it's incredibly easy to do that. And I think, again, that's a result of our culture as well. It's so easy to burn ourselves out. And it doesn't take much because our lives are already so full. And of course, again, that's very subjective, but I think everyone can relate in their own way to sometimes life can just seem to be running away from you, or maybe we're running away from life. How does it work? I would love to know what you guys think of this matter. Is life too jam-packed these days for you guys? Is it, how do you find the time? How do you take the time out of your daily life to find that space that you need, that solace, just for a while? And maybe it's, interwoven through it. I mean, we talk about in Druidry a living practice, from paganism in general. We live our spirituality. It's a living, breathing thing every day. But of course, there are moments where, if you're working or whatever, you just have to be right in the moment of that job or whatever. And it can just become incredibly overbearing. And I think sometimes we can just lose sight of that inner self for a while, or that spiritual side of us that needs that space, and that solitude. I'm reading a comment here by Julie. It's almost like no matter how much we really have to do, we fill it with busyness. Yes, that's right. And it's very much about how we approach it all as well, isn't it? We can have quite a demanding job, and depending on how we start off the day in our mindset can drastically affect not only how we do our job, but simply how it affects us internally, and physically, for that matter, I mean, we could end up being injured or whatever, because we're not feeling at peace inside. We might not be conscious of what we're doing. And so there are many factors. And it's funny, looking at that, we see that factor just in the workplace or whatever every day. We see that on a global scale, on the scale of politics and of culture, as the Western society or culture. This sense of, waking up in the morning to a culture that is kind of blinded to itself, and hasn't taken that space first before going out and being proactive and really involved in things. So tonight I went out to the garden that I grew up at, and I planted this garden out since I was about 12 or 13, and in it I've created this little grove space, and I've recently moved. I moved close to the city, but I come back as much as I can because obviously the land here I have a deep, intimate connection with. And but tonight I just spent some time after work, sitting out, and probably a good hour as the sun went down, just meditating in this grove and in this space. And the sickle moon was coming out, and the stars above, and it's those moments that are so important daily, to take that time out. So, I suppose as Druids, as pagans, as people on a nature spiritual path, what do you do in your daily practice which gives you that sense of ease, that sense of calm and solitude and stability inside, which keeps you going, every day? And that daily practice is something I think we've talked about before on here. Something that's really important, I think, to develop over time. And of course it can be something really simple or even more complex sometimes if that's what you need, you know. But I think the gist of it is that we need nature, and nature needs us. And I think to say that, especially in the climate we're in now, we have this sense of denialism about the good of humanity. What is the good that humanity can what can we bring to the world in a good, healthy way, wholesome way? And one thing we can do is to stop for a while, just to stop and to step back and see ourselves in perspective once again with the cosmos, with nature, with being. And if we're always getting ahead of ourselves and always going, we've got to do this, we've got to do that to fix everything and change things. Yeah, we do. But if we rush into it headlong, straight down the barrel of the gun, so to speak, we might make drastic, horrible mistakes. And I think a lot of things start off, in that way of excitement or whatever, or passion. But I think we need to, sometimes it can get overbearing. We just need to step back and find that space. So what tools do we have, in Druidry? Well, we have the Grove. And we can go there to find peace and solace. And this is a place physical and esoteric. And these two are not separate things. They are both at the same time. And I think that's a really key lesson in an embodied spirituality, is that it is both. It is both. It is neither here nor there, but it is here at the same time. The spirit world and the physical world are it's so connected, you can't separate them at the end of the day. They are incredibly fundamentally part of each other. But of course, we've still got this paradigm in our culture where we have this separation anxiety of body and soul, body and love, body and heart, and psyche. And the psyche, the mind, I think, has been taken out of context. In philosophy, there's this hypothesis called, it's a whole philosophy. It's called panpsychism, and it relates to animism. And it posits that within the fabric of the physical universe, there is the nature of consciousness itself to be found as a basic component of everything. It's not something which kind of pops out like epiphenomenalism, but it is something which is considered to be inherent within, almost like a basic law of physics, kind of added on to physics in a way. But when we start to see the universe like this again, where spirit and consciousness is inherent in the world, then every interaction we have with a stream or with the forest or a tree, you're not just walking your dog in the forest anymore. You're walking your dog in this incredible, amazing consciousness, this organism, which we are also connected to. As we're going through the forest, we are sharing, chemicals and molecules that the trees are breathing and exchanging, and they're going through our bodies, and there's this incredible molecular exchange going on. And between our feet with the earth as well. And so when we look at it like that, then we can start to change our mindset. And it's all about changing mindset. But I think where we need to start is to go, chill out, man. Just peace. Just find some peace for some time, And I think the first doorway in that is the body. And obviously becoming deeply aware of the body and the sensations of the body. Because when you realize how important your body is for your health, then you begin to be aware of the subtle sensations of your feet on the ground. And if you put your hands on the ground, then you feel that the subtle sensations and very strong sensations of the soil and the rocks around you, but they take on this animated quality, which if we just approach the environment as if it is just outside of ourselves, then of course it is much easier to approach it from the lens of resources and just consuming goods. So that's something which the animistic cultures can teach us incredibly strongly. How are we going for time? My phone is not showing me my time. If someone could tell me if I'm going over at any point, that would be great. So I'm going to quickly share a poem which I created recently. I go to this place called Sturt Gorge, and it's this sacred site just down the road from here. And it's this massive gorge. It goes for a long way. It's next to Flinders University, and it's got ancient Eucalyptus camaldulensis, river red gums, and intermingled with introduced species, ash trees, and I think there might be a few willows dotted here and there. And of course the conservation guys come in and they poison and cut all the introduced species down over time. But generally there is this incredible harmony in the place between the two different. And this is what we call a reconciliation forest. Oh, time is up. Oh my gosh, I'm so into this talk. Okay, I'll be quick. Anyway, so I went to this place, and I go here often, and I find I tend to go here. I don't know if you get this, but if you get so overworked because of whatever might be in your life, and you start to feel that disconnect from the land or from your spirituality, you start to feel the land or certain areas that you connect with calling you. Like literally almost pulling you by the clothes and being, come here now, come here, you need us now, calling you back to source. It's like the heart is being pulled that way, back to this sacred place which you have a really strong, intimate connection with. Anyway, I'll finish up with this poem that I wrote that came from this experience. The divine is the pulsing, life-breathing emanation and animation of all nature. On the one hand, we are all seeds blown on the wind called time, and our destination, that is yet to be determined. Our source is the home of all spiritual travellers over the threshold of space and time. The sunflower or birch catkin-laden mother of us all, she calls us home by sending us away, because she knows well, and she knows truly that the spirit of time will meet with the spirit of the journey again. And so wherever there is life and there is journeying, there she will always be. Barefooted traveller, where are your shoes? You left them behind in a previous incarnation. A memory of who you were was only but a few moments ago. With every shedding away, you feel that you are closer still. The sacred well of the infinite and infinitesimal spirit is deep within you. So you travel on to find your song spoken through crystal clear water. Skin after skin, the old gives way to the new, and with the seasons of the sacred sun wheel, you turn, you drop autumnal leaves, and from your newly born midwinter bud, sparks flash anew, a fresh perspective from deep in the southern belly of night. O child of light, born from the splendid cave of the mother, see before you the Imbolc gateway, that thou hath opened and newly forth from Anorvan. Come hither into your new horizon, as Og your father rises, and Modron keeps her house not from you as long as you always remember. For I am Mabon, firstborn of space, my mother, and fathered by time. And so, just briefly, that is about connecting with space and time, connecting with the spirit of here and now. Whether it's your hearth and your home, or it's the sacred grove and the forest, the bushland, the gum tree, the acacia, the animals that you love. All of these things are really important. And in this time of despair and anguish, just keep doing your work. Keep doing this, your lovely druid work, and because the world needs you. So thank you, and peace to you all, and have a good night.